Hello guys, it's me Simo Orahara, and in this video we'll talk about one of the topic related to the Hogyoku, as well as the relationship of the Quincy's to the Hollows, by talking about the generator SHAZ Domino. But before that guys, don't forget to put some of your reactions in this video, either by clicking like or leaving a comment to discuss the topic of this video. And if you have a stronger reaction, you can become a member in my channel or through Patreon. And this is a good chance to thank again all the members of my supporting squad, either in YouTube or Patreon. Thank you guys so much. It is true that this character had a small appearance in the manga, but through the novel beginning of the Revive of Tomorrow, narrator and Kubo presented some unique ideas through this character. So, first of all, the Hogyoku was the ambition of many characters who wanted to use it for several goals. Urahara Kizuki wanted it to break barriers in order to strengthen the soul of the Shinigamis, while Aizen Sasuke, who understood the essence of the Hogyoku's ability, used it to speed up the transformation of many hollows into Arankara, as well as placing it inside his body to achieve a new dimension of power. And in the novel Can't Fear Your Own Word, we learned that Tokinada wanted to obtain the Hogyoku in order to place it inside Hikone, because according to Tokinada, it was not possible for Hikone to be the new king without the Hogyoku. But it seems that there were other characters who also had this ambition of obtaining the Hogyoku, including SHAZ Domino. And before we talk about this character, I wonder whether the content of this novel will be adapted or not, because the main events of the novel take place between the first and the second invasion, and there are some short flashbacks that took place after the end of the Arankara arc. But as I said, the main event takes place in that period in which the first invasion ended and the Shinigami began to prepare for the next battle. Because I think if this novel had the chance to be adapted, it could have been in the first part of the second season, exactly after the flashback of Everything But the Rain, when the Shinigami started to look up for new ways to fight. Or maybe in the second part before the start of the second invasion. However, it seems to me that Kubo might take from the novel only how Kira was treated and how he returned in his new form, without referring to details of his battle against SHAZ. But back to this character SHAZ Domino, Grimmy is the one who created him with his own imagination, just like Guinel. However, SHAZ's ability that he possessed was what helped him to replace his imaginary body with a physical body. And his ability, the viability, gives him a very high regeneration speed that exceeds the regeneration of the Quincy's and the Volstanding or Hollows, until he reached a point where his entire body became material and not subject to Grimmy's control. Therefore, in order to dedicate this achievement by becoming free from Grimmy's control, and in order to show that he is not just an artificial character, SHAZ thought of doing something unusual, which is creating Hogyoku in order to break the barriers between races and become a Hollow Quincy. And this is an unusual thing this time, because as we know, the Quincy's don't have any immunity against the Hollows, and any leakage of the Hollow power into the Quincy's soul will not only weaken the Quincy, but will lead to its death. And the most prominent example we have is Masaki Kurosaki. Although she possesses one of the strongest defensive blood, White's bite was enough to poison her soul and lead her to a state of soul suicide. But lucky for her, Urahara Kizuki was there. And frankly speaking, this is considered one of the Quincy's major weaknesses. For example, Hollows can obtain the power of a Shinigami and become Arankara, and Shinigami can obtain the power of the Hollow and become a Vizard. Even the Arankara can use the power of the Quincy's, like the Arankara that Yuabak recruited at the beginning of the arc. All of these races can obtain other powers. However, there are a few cases where this rule was broken, such as for Ichigo, who possesses the power of a Quincy, but despite that, he wasn't affected by the power of the Hollow who is inside him, and I believe that the reason of that because of the Shinigami power that he has. And there is also Yuryu. Yuryu, despite being subjected to several attacks by Hollows, he wasn't affected, like what happened to Masaki for example. And Kubo said that the reason for this is that Shiryu is a special Quincy, and we talked about that in the previous video. For all of this, SHAZ Domino wanted to obtain the Hogyoku so that he would be able to gain the power of the Hollow without any problem. He initially thought of stealing it from Aizen Sasuke, and he abandoned this ridiculous idea and decided to do something else, which was to make the Hogyoku by himself, by heading towards the Great Library that is located in the room 46. However, his plan will fail when he meets Kira, who has returned from a severe injury with greater power that made him able to defeat Kira. Anyway, I don't care about SHAZ's dreams, but the idea of a Quincy having the power of a Hollow seems like an excellent idea. We're not talking about Ichigo because he's actually a Shinigami, but about a Quincy with the power of a Hollow. I don't know what power will acquire and how harmonious it might be, and whether he will also wear the mask or not, but eventually this idea seems difficult because, for example, even Ryo, the Soul King himself, despite having multiple powers such as the power of Shinigami and Fullbring, as well as the power of a Quincy, he didn't have the power of the Hollow. But on the contrary, he was fighting the Hollows. This is why Ichigo is the only character who combined the power of the Hollow and the Quincies. For example, the Osan, although he is a pure Quincy force, he was in harmony with White and they form one person. Maybe, as I said, the mixing occurred because White is mixed with Shinigami power of Ichigo. I thought about the possibility that Shiryu also has a Hollow power within him, which is what made him immune to Ausweren. But I think it's not correct, because originally Masaki was subjected to the Ausweren by Yhwach, even though her body contains the power of White. In addition, Ryoken, who is considered a pure Quincy, also has immunity against Ausweren. Also, there is something related to SHAZ. So, is Grimmy's imagination of the character's race enough to make him belong to that race? For example, what if Grimmy imagined the character of a Shinigami and a Zanpakuto? Would that character really be a Shinigami and have a Zanpakuto? Or because Grimmy's spiritual power is a Quincy power, then all what he can imagine will be eventually a power of a Quincy, and for that Quinnell and SHAZ Domino were also Quincies. That's why, guys, I want to know what is your opinions about my last point. Tell me about that in the comments, and about also the idea of a Hollow Quincy. What do you think about that? Tell me your opinions, guys, in the comments, and see you in my next video.